Dr. Andy, my colleague from CEMCA, Dr. Manas, and all other colleagues from Help University. If I can pronounce few names rightly, Kim, Chia, Paulo, and Balakrishnan, Derek, whom I can see on the screen. So I welcome each one of you. We'll not get into the other details, but I hope all of you did your homework, which was given by Shironika. But informally, Shironika said that only Kim has done the homework. We will do online now. At least you can suggest what are you thinking, and we can write it down on the Google Doc. Before I request Shironika to continue, because yesterday her session was very interactive, and that was besides the academic part, that was the best part for me. That was very interactive. Shironika, do we want to have a little introduction of each one?
I think better. We forgot that yesterday. Sorry, we should have done that yesterday. So we'll do it today because it's good. Because today we want to allocate the subgroups, the sub-teams. So it's better to know the names and faces also if possible.
Yeah, turn on the video.
Yes. So we will request.
Okay, we'll start
Andy,
with
Andy,
maybe.
What?
Okay, sorry, Prof. Maybe we'll go by alphabetical order. Chia Yip-Ping.
Okay.
Miss Chia Yip-Ping is the person overseeing the library. Here we call it the Learning Resource Center.
Is she here now?
Yes. Yip-Ping, are you there, Yip-Ping?
Yeah, I'm here.
We want to see your face.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
But we would like to hear the voice at least.
Can you hear me?
Would be better.
Yes.
Yeah, Chia.
Yip-Ping, probably introduce yourselves. Share whatever.
Hi, I'm Chia from the library. What else? Okay, I'm very keen to understand the copyright aspect, so that when the lecturers or the staff are using the OER, we have to make sure that they are compliant to copyright, and also the library would like to help whatever we can to support them. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, library will have to play a major role in this OER business.
Yeah.
Usually the OER repository of the institution would reside in the library, isn't it?
Yeah. It's maintained by the library, yes. Okay, who next?
Danish is the Danish Balakrishnan.
Hello, yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I am coming for the first time for this session. I have not been able to join you all earlier. I apologize because of other commitments, and I was actually conducting a seminar yesterday. So I'm a little bit lost actually. I'm just wanting to know what are the things, that we are supposed to do. I'd be very appreciative if I could be enlightened about it.
Okay.
So I was told that this would be videotaped and that we will be given an opportunity to use videos that it'll be in the YouTube. So I just have some time now, so I thought I will come in and see what is going on and maybe learn a little bit more about this.
Yeah.
Your role in Help, Danish?
Oh, I am the Dean of the Faculty of Foundation Studies.
Okay.
All right. So I have I take care of all the pre-university for the university itself. So we have a foundation in arts and a foundation in science. I have about 36 lecturers in my faculty.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Right. So yesterday, There was a seminar on 28 principles from one particular district. So we were going through that yesterday.
Oh, okay.
They visited Help University in Subang.
Oh.
It's a pleasure meeting all of you.
Yeah. And Danish is a sorry,
that's a very good strength in your school. I mean, how many faculty members are there, Andy, in the university?
I think 6 overall. It's about 6, I think, major faculties. But under the faculty, they have a lot of schools, departments.
Okay. We can move.
Okay, so we can move on. Who's next? Bernard?
Bernard.
You missed B. Bernard.
Bernard Liu.
Yeah. You go by the first names or the surnames?
We go by the first name.
Okay, then B.
Bernard.
Then you should start your Andy.
I'm Andy, just here. I just joined Help since 2nd January 2020. All the while I've been in Penang, have never stepped out from Penang. So after about 50 years, I'm really out from the borders of Penang. My responsibility here is overseeing the quality assurance of the university. Okay. I forgot to tell you, Danish is a strong believer of Lord Shiva and Ganesha.
Oh, that's good. We too believe in gods. You know, in addition to Buddhism, we do have the God things there as well. Yeah. Okay, there was another Andy yesterday.
I think what they have done was they have used my access when I send the email out. I could have accidentally given my access rights.
No, there was another Andy because when
that is Andy Hickson. Andy Hickson.
Is she there today?
There's no Andy Hickson is not here today, but there's another Andy Liu. I really do not know who he is.
Okay. Right. Okay. So thank you, Andy. Then we move on to Bernard.
Not sure whether he's... Bernard, you have muted your mic, Bernard.
We can move forward maybe.
Bernard.
Okay.
No, okay. Yeah.
Bernard.
We can't hear. We can't hear you.
Bernard, we can't hear you, Bernard.
Okay, until he gets it fixed, we'll move on to another one. Something. Okay. No, it's muted.
It's muted, right? Eddie?
Yeah.
Eddie Pan.
Yes, I'm Eddie. Glad to meet all of you. I'm from graduate school. I lecture in marketing.
Marketing. Okay. Well, who is next? Paulo?
Paulo?
I understand Paulo has to go off. He got one short meeting. He said he will join later on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, Kim Len Yap.
Kia is also there.
Yeah, I just came in from the toilet. A toilet break. I have.
Can we see you? Can we see you?
Would you like to see me?
Yes, because
it won't be very, very pleasant.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Now be surprised, okay? Take a big surprise.
Okay.
See? Oh, lucky is black color. Lucky. Okay, that's it.
Okay, good to see you.
You need to pay me when you want to see me.
With
Okay,
a sari, with a sari.
Yeah, I would love to wear a sari, you know. I won it before. I won it before a few years back, but it was really really comfy in a way. But anyway, I've been here for 10 years, but my major is really in accounting, which is a very boring discipline, and nobody likes it here. I'm an outcast in a Help University because it's accounting. It's an outcast. The popular discipline in Help University is economics, management, or whatever, you know, but not accounting. But we had the biggest faculty in the
Well, my
university,
husband is an accountant.
which is accounting, which is a major revenue earner, but nobody likes it because they think accounting is very boring. But you know that they don't know anything about accounting anyway, you know. So so anyway, I must say that I really like the story. Just one more time, and you're from Sri Lanka, are you? Are you from
Sorry?
Sri Lanka? Are you from Sri Lanka?
Yeah.
I had one my ex-colleagues from Otago University when I was there. I was doing my PhD with Otago University in New Zealand, and one of my colleagues and also so-called a classmate, he's from also Sri Lanka, and I got my PhD degree 1 year before him, you know, earlier than him, but he's also from Sri Lanka, and he's a Buddhist. He's a Buddhist.
I am Buddhist as well.
Are you a Buddhist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a lot of things in common, I think, except the sari, you know, except the sari.
Okay. Okay, and thank you for doing the homework, Kim. I appreciate that.
Actually, it's not really my homework in a way. I did some research last night and early this morning, and I only managed to get one or two good documents or good sources, one or two sources for me to rely on. But I think the points that I put them on is really for considerations rather than it's a policy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you start it, others can contribute and the discussion can be started. When one person started, that's good.
Yeah, because I thought someone would do the homework except me. So that
you are the only one. You are the only one who has done homework. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to who is next. Andy, you will have to help me. Who? Is Eddie okay?
Who is the? Yeah.
Eddie, are you?
Andy Shu, how do you pronounce it?
Oh, Shu Ming.
Ang is there? Yeah, Shu Ang is there.
Hi.
Shu Ming.
No, can't hear.
Hi, I'm here.
Yeah, okay now.
Oh, she's in the galaxy.
Oh yes.
So if I'm not paying attention, you know why I'm up in the heavens. So yeah, hi, I'm from the School of ICT. I've been teaching here for a long time, and I do develop a lot of teaching materials, and it's been very interesting to go through last week's training. And I wasn't really aware of this week's one, so I missed yesterday's, and I was hoping to catch up on it. So I haven't done any homework. Hope to do that later. All right.
Okay, thank you. Who is next?
Okay, Monica Nagpal is our colleague with CEMCA. Monica, can you just introduce yourself, please?
Okay, ma'am. Hello, good noon to everybody. My camera is not working, so won't be able to see me. I'm project associate in CEMCA, and I am from education, done my PhD in educational technology. And I've been also dealing with OER part of it in my job at NCERT, National Council for Educational Research and Training. That's it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, each one of you. Now we can start the academic part of it.
Didn't we miss anybody here? Did we miss anybody, or everybody's okay?
No, everybody. Done.
Any late? All are okay?
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Okay. 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 So, hello everyone. So, nice to be back, and I hope all of you are ready because today it's going to be more interactive and it's a real workshop. So you will have to work today a lot because we are going to the outcome would be at least a very first draft of each of the sections of the OER policy, institutional policy. Before we start, I mean, yesterday I briefly explained we had a brainstorming session, and I know that Andy has shared with everybody the Google Doc. Today we will be working on that. So I would like, okay, not just now, but after I just do my introductory part, we would be working on the Google Doc itself so that it will be interactive. Otherwise, just talking might not be enough, especially for CEMCA. They need the outcomes, outputs. So the production of the OER policy is the major thing. So I would like to, show you now the whole purpose of, now yesterday we talked about the need and the benefits and the issues and everything. I have shared all the resources, some, not all, some resources in the Google Doc first page. So I would like the participants to go through, not now, leisurely, go through those resources. And also you can add, like now Kim said, you found some resources, you all can add any useful resources for this process because all of you have access. So please add but relevant and useful resources in the resources section. Also, all the brainstorming ideas I copied into the Google Doc. So even if you come up with more ideas, you can add there as well. And I requested to do a SWOT analysis. I know it's not possible to do it immediately, but I have added a section for this. I think it's important for as an institution to do a SWOT analysis. So I incorporated another section for that SWOT analysis and inserted a table there with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats where you can add things there as well. Then the other thing is under the resources, I thought I will start sharing a graphic or a framework picture which Dr. Ishan Abeyvardhan has come up with. As I mentioned yesterday, he's the one who initiated the OER policy at OUSL. I think he did it at the Vavasan Open University as well. He contributed. So based on that, we developed. And he has done some research in relation to OER policy development. So from one of his research articles, I got this image. I'm going to share that with you. Just give me a sec. All right. Okay. So this is, I think it's good to have some sort of an organized way of looking at this. The whole idea of an OER policy for an institution, I believe, in order to mainstream OER in the teaching learning process. So the whole document I have shared, you can read the whole article, but this gives a summary, like about the process. So when you are developing the policy also, it's important to consider all the stakeholders. So it's not only, now I know most of you are academics and maybe in the managerial level, but it's not only them, but there are lots of other stakeholders. Some are mentioned here, like the library, the education technology units, IT support, the learners. There may be other units as well. So I think it's good to consider all the stakeholders in this process. And yesterday we also talked about this change in mindset. It's very important because a policy won't be effective if people don't believe in the concept and don't accept it. So that's why the changing mindset is important. So yesterday we discussed how to get on with it. So one way is building capacity, raising awareness and building capacity. That has to happen. I know that's already happened with the CEMCA workshop, but in addition to that, now we also had these sort of initial workshops, but then we are continuously having the workshop because we have to update and upgrade. The newcomers are coming in, and some are late adapters, some are quick adapters. Change is a process where different people will go through the process. This is a change process. So the change process, there are some people who will quickly adapt, but there are some others who will adapt gradually. So this continuous awareness raising and capacity building is necessary. So even though we started quite some time back, even before the policy, we were doing this capacity building and awareness raising workshops continuously. And even next week, I'm conducting again for our science foundation. We also have a foundation unit, science. So they requested me to again do a refreshing seminar. So likewise, it's a continuous process. Then there are the strategizing, what strategies, we discussed those strategies as well. At the same time, the technological infrastructure is also important because most of the things are done in a digital manner. And the adoption of the open license, which is crucial in this policy, because you have to be very clear and make decisions, as we discussed yesterday also, which open license would you all be adopting. And once you come to the policy, so by the end of this exercise, we will be coming out with a draft policy. Then you have to keep on improving it and get the approvals, necessary approvals, Senate, Council, whatever the higher authority approvals, and then implement it. So implementation means the practices. So how we are going to practice, there are in different ways the practices will be there in the materials publications and the quality assurance process, and how this is going to help the teaching learning process, the learners, how they are going to master their learning outcomes. So it's a cyclic process. So the continuous quality improvement also has to happen. So that's a summary of this picture or the image, but the whole article is there. So I thought of starting today's session with this. So would anybody like to say any comment or anything before we move on? Do you think this is a useful thing to organize your work?
I think the stakeholders are extremely important to me, because at the end of the day, whatever products that we offered or shared, it is really for the stakeholders. I think the primary stakeholders here, in my view, from the university perspective, is really the students. And the students is not just the university students, even student even from other colleges, things like that. So when I was preparing the homework last night and this morning, I was thinking about just the stakeholders. Whom am I writing this policy for? Whom am I responsible? Whom am I accountable for at the end of the day? Because this document, at the end of the day, it will be a legal document.
Yeah.
So therefore, will we be accountable legally to our students? Other than on the moral stand. So it is extremely extremely challenging when you come to consider stakeholders. I mean, the rest is all pretty, I think, infrastructures and something can be adapted if that problem can be resolved. But the stakeholders problem is not easy to resolve, because once your policy become legally binding, you do not know where is the capacity, where is the boundary of your stakeholders' concern. For example, if I use your documents and I'm from Zimbabwe, will Help University be held accountable for something happen to whatever problem arising from the use of the products. You know, so I think I'm saying this because I'm saying from the perspective of the application and the adoptions of the accounting standards, because the International Accounting Standard Board is only accountable to those member countries, but they do not have accountable to the citizen of the member countries. You know, so it is really, really critical for university when they design this policy, because I do not know whether we should actually delimit our boundary for the stakeholders or not. I'm not sure whether I have no idea about what's going on in the real world, because I have no experience at all in this area.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Yeah, I think stakeholders are very important. So that's why as a group, I think this is a mixed group, people coming from different faculties, different schools and different entities. So you will, each one of you can think of different stakeholders and strategies and what, I mean, that's why we need this mixed group, because then we will get to know, I mean, it's a collaborative work. And also I think it's important to review the existing university policies, because yesterday also I mentioned this, I believe. Already there are I mean, in a university, there are a lot of policies. So existing institutional policies and frameworks, such as you might be having a copyrights policy, the university. Then you might be having, policies for quality assurance of your material, the ownerships, the IPR, ICT policy. I heard somebody from ICT section also there. So ICT policy and the course material development, there might be standard procedures. So this has to be compatible with already existing policies, because if you develop something which is incompatible, there would be issues. So it's good to know. If you already don't know, it's better to be aware of the existing policies of the university and make sure that because they are already approved policies, right? So when you're developing this, this policy has to be compatible with the existing university policies as well. Any comment on that from anybody? Andy or Manas or somebody here?
Not at the moment, Prof.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the next thing. Okay. So if you sorry.
Sironika, the proposal you are putting forth and ideas you are giving out. This is very good that Health University need to think in that line also as well. So it's a good going, good suggestion for Health University. I believe so.
Okay. So the next thing is about the policy template, the call policy template. I will just show it to you, even though we have shared the link. I don't know how many have gone through it, but I will just show that document. So this is the call institutional OER policy template, which is called CEMCA, I should say, which is very useful, which will provide guidance, because we are going to develop based on this. But it doesn't mean that you have to stick to exactly what it says. It's a guideline. You can adapt according to your purposes and needs. So I will just move through it quickly, but please go through this carefully. So this is 2006 one, okay. So these are the things I have shared in the Google Doc, right? These are the sections. This is the template. The template is already there. The link is given, but I have not copied everything there, because if I copy, it will be the whole. I wanted you as a group to study the call template and come up with your own statements, right? So the preamble can be done later, because that's about your university. So today we won't be focusing on developing the preamble. That can be done anytime, because it's about your institution's vision, mission, and why you're adopting. And definitions also we can do later. because once you develop the policy only, you will see what terms need to be defined. But obviously open education resources has to be defined because it's all about OER. So that I only put that one, but any other definitions you can decide, and we can work on that later. But today mainly we are going to focus on the other sections. That's about the policy itself, right? That's about the policy itself. So yesterday I showed the whole thing. I'm not going to go through everything, but the Google Docs. So after I go through this, I would like to request everybody to log into the Google Docs, and we can work collaboratively from there. So I have given different sections, different pages for each of these sections. Then we would like you all to form small groups. That's why Dr. Mana suggested yesterday, put your names where you would like to, you feel more comfortable to contribute, because there are several sections, and you might now, Kim, for example, Kim has put her name in like 3-4 sections. It can be not only one section, it can be several sections, because where you can contribute. Then we can, in small groups, you all can work focusing on that particular section or sections. So we come up with some draft for everybody's comments. Everybody can weave what's happening, but when working, you can focus on your section. This is my plan for today. But if you feel we need any changes, please tell me. So I'm just showing the section so that individuals here can think where you would like to contribute, because that's what we are going to do today. So policy, it's about the policy, the declaration. Declaration, I think, is straightforward. It's already given. You just have to put your name of the institution, and maybe if necessary to revise, otherwise the policy that is declaring. But policy statements are very important, right? Policy statements and policy objectives, they are very important. So I think one group should work together on these policy statements and objectives, because they are linked together. So I would like to have one group working on policy statements, one small group sub-team working on policy statements and policy objectives. Then another group working on scope and applicability. This is where the stakeholders come in. Who are the, what's the scope of this policy, covering whom, which areas, which type of materials, and also the collaborative work, if there are collaborations. I mentioned all this yesterday. So the scope and applicability. Then the other one is the copyrights and license, which is also very important. Which license you are going to use? That's a very important section. So I would like another, I don't know how many subgroups we can have, because today I think there's a small number of people. Maybe each group can work on 2 sections at least. The copyrights is, you will have to decide, like I mentioned yesterday, whether you are going to have one license for the whole institution, or whether you are going to give the flexibility to different schools to decide whether they want to have a license, or whether there will be different license. I know, you can't decide, quickly you can't decide, but you can suggest, because anyway the university at a higher level will decide on this. But you will have to start a discussion and think what would be the most appropriate way. So the suggestions can be put in the Google Doc. Then the next important item is the quality assurance. So another sub-team can work on the quality assurance and review process. How that will happen, because what is given here may not be the process you are having in your university. Now, for example, in our university, we had to revise this because we had a different process, the quality assurance process. Every institution has their own quality assurance system. So that has to be compatible with your existing system. So those who are now Andy said you are the head, so maybe you should be contributing there, because you know, you are very you very well know the quality assurance system about your university, so that this section has to be compatible with that the existing system. And I think liability will also relate, you can include that as well, or that's just a disclaimer and liability. Institutional arrangements also, that is like giving responsibilities to different, I think the quality assurance and this part can happen together, because this is mainly how the institution will arrange, you know, the diagram set capacity building, who is responsible for capacity building, who is responsible for quality assurance mechanism, who is responsible for maintaining the repository. So there are different things that you are talking about. So it's good to state specifically who is responsible for what. So those are the institutional arrangements. So that's it. So that's the template. Now I am going to share the Google Docs with you. Before that, anybody would like to ask anything or clarify anything?
Prof, can I be exempted from this exercise because since I've done my homework?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Can I be exempted from this exercise?
You can, to release you.
Yeah, to release me because I've done my
No,
homework.
no. You asked. Well, I think it's important you be there, because now you have already put some ideas. So what the others would like to, I mean, it has to be a collaborative effort. So now you have put your name. So I would like the others also to now identify where they would like to be and contribute, because this is a collaborative effort of the university. So that was my plan. Can I ask?
I like to team up with my colleagues from my department, Elm department, because we are sitting next to each other. So much easier for us to do some discussion whatsoever.
Okay, so this arrangement, I don't know, somebody will have to help me with arranging this, because I'm going to open the Google Docs now. Everybody can click on the link and go there and we can collaborate. But before that, we need this grouping or identifying who is going to work in which, you know, section and all. Can someone help me with that?
Okay. Can I?
Maybe.
Professor Shironika, can we have the other way around, because there are very few of them. So if we can open the Google Doc and everyone, we take one element and everyone suggests and we keep writing. Because at the moment, like people are going, coming in and all that. So
Yeah, correct.
If that can be done, Andy, is that okay?
Yeah, correct. Maybe we look at the different sections, then we ask whoever that are still with us currently to take up the sections that they are comfortable with.
Okay, so if there's a small number of people today, okay. But maybe later on, I mean, today we are going to anyway to do a very first draft.
Yep.
So we will, okay, so then I will open the Google Docs and we will go section by section. And but all those who are there, I would like you all also to go there so that it can be an interactive work rather than just me showing things. I would like people to put in their ideas. I mean, it's a very draft. It doesn't matter. We can change all the time. It's a working document. But later on, maybe you can you should be able to get some sub teams working after the session, after today's session. Will that work?
Yes, Prof.
Yeah. So yeah, group work would have been an ideal situation, but at the moment, because there are few of the colleagues, so we can have on the Google Doc, and request everyone to think and just say the ideas, and it can be entered into the Google Doc. So that will be done.
Okay, so you want me to enter, or I would like is it possible everybody to log into that and log into the Google Doc now? Is it possible?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, we'll try that way. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it will we all agree. I just recently, just few minutes before only, I have shared that link in the chat box. All get access to the chat box. The Google Doc. Click
Manas,
on there.
yesterday it was sent, no? Yesterday, I think
Yesterday
Andy
also
sent
sent,
to
and
everybody.
today also I shared for their own convenience. You need not to wonder and search the link. You just open your chat box here, click on the link. Automatically that link will be opened. What Shironika is open here. Same will open. Please go to the respective sections and start writing. Whatever you think, you just start writing.
Okay,
And
no, we will go step by step.
Yeah. Andy started writing, thank you. And so please start writing anything you want to write.
Okay, so I can see Andy has logged, Andy is there, but there are a lot of anonymous animals, anonymous alligator, anonymous octopus, anonymous armadillo, and anonymous dragon. They are there. I don't know why it's coming as anonymous. I would like to see the names because we would like to know who has made the changes, who had. I don't know why it's coming as anonymous. Maybe some IT person can help us there how to get the names. Because if you log in in your device with your name should come there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Prof, do I still need to write anything since I already submitted mine?
Sorry?
Do I still need to write anything there because I already submitted my written work? I just sit here and listen to everybody. I mean, I've done my work.
You want to be excused, is it?
No. I do not need to write anything.
I couldn't follow.
Going to check what everybody writes.
Yeah. I do not need to write anything, right?
No. You have all written. You have all written. Yeah. Sure. You don't have to write anything. But
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see a lot of anonymous people here. Maybe when you are logging in from your phones, maybe that's happening. Is it? Show me. I can see the names only. Andy's and show me. Those names I can see. Others all anonymous. Anyway, okay. So I will just go through this. Those who have logged in on resources page, we can go down because this is for your reference only. I put it on the top. So anytime you wish to go to any resource and refresh yourselves or get some ideas, that's there. So we'll go down. Then next one is yesterday's brainstorming session. That's again to help start your thinking. So some keywords are there, so they will trigger you to think about different things when we are doing the policy. So that's also for your reference only. The SWOT analysis is there for you all to do later on. That I have put here a table, so you can add the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now what we are going to work is from here, 24, the date I have given here, 24/9/2020, the policy template. Here also I have given the template link. So if you want to go to the link, you can open that in a separate window and see what's there as well. But as I mentioned, we will leave the preamble for the moment. That we can do later. Definitions also we will leave for later, but we will start from policy. Okay, policy declaration. Now policy declaration, the call declaration is already there. So can someone go through that and see? We'll go step by step now. We start with the policy declaration. Okay, so, sorry, I have gone to the end of it. Wait. Just, okay. So for the moment, I will copy paste the declaration given in the call template. No names there, but I will just copy paste. Okay, so see, okay, those who are there now, can you read this and see whether you agree with this or whether you need to do any changes? It's good if somebody can do any editing. Your name, the institution name has to be there, but the statement, do you agree with this for the moment, or would you like to revise anything?
Just just a query or for a point of discussion. So can we, in the policy declaration, we can write very precisely when you say open education resources. So can we write text, audio, video, and so on?
Well, I think it's not needed here in the declaration. The declaration has to be short and sweet, you know. It's just a declaration, because later on you are specifying this audio, video, all those things are coming at a different place where you are elaborating what you mean by OER. So here the term OER is enough, because we are anyway in the definitions we have given, we are giving what we mean by open education resources. I think the declaration should be short and sweet without a lot of details.
Okay, so it will read like the Help University will promote and implement the creation, reuse, revision, remixing, redistribution, and retention of open education resources within an open licensing framework.
That's the call's suggested wording. So if they agree with it, because open education resources you are going to define, open licensing you are going to define in the definitions, the license you are going to decide later and indicate, the resources, the types of resources you are going to give in the scope and applicability part.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So if we just type here the Help University, shall I type? Or somebody would like to type there from the university? Shall I just type? Help University. Malaysia? Oh.
Just Help University.
What happened? What happened? Something happened here. Wait.
I removed the.
Sorry?
I removed the D, T-H-E.
So you don't use D, right?
No.
Okay. I was wondering. Okay, so maybe you would like to type then. Okay, I will leave because.
Oh no, that was fine.
Okay, you can type here, please. Help University, you want to say Malaysia or just Help University?
Just Help University.
Okay. Help University will promote and implement the creation, reuse, revision, remixing, redistribution, and retention. Those are the 5 R's, right? Reuse, revision, remix, redistribute, and retention. In addition to that, creation is also added, because creation is important in the university. A lot of materials are being created, newly created. Reuse, revision, remixing, they are all like the 5 R's, and the OER within an open licensing framework. So shall we keep this for the moment?
Prof, I have 2 questions here to clarify. When you when you just mentioned it is very important for creation, what about for abolition? Like you abolish the existing material. That's one. The second clarification is, what is the difference between the revision and remixing? Is that a clear?
Sorry, can you repeat that? What's the question?
Just look at what is the distinction between revision and remixing?
Oh, Okay, good question. Because revision, okay, the 5 R's. The revision can be, okay, we take one material, okay, we find some one material which we can use with some revision. We can change maybe the okay, some content we can change, but remixing is getting 2 or 3 materials, take the parts we need from each, mix them and create our own thing.
Okay.
Right? So that's the difference between two. Revision, I know remixing also will need revision. That's, I mean, it's in there, but then reuse is also in there. So even though these are all interlinked and interrelated, the specific meaning is reusing is just you, if you get a material which you can use as it is without making any changes, you can just reuse as it is. But
Okay.
sometimes you think this material need to be changed a little bit here and there, then you can use, that is revision.
Yeah, because
Sometimes
you
you
have
get
the word retention. You have the word retention just because you have the 5R. And then what about those old materials that become defunct? And then you want to be like
yeah,
distinct from the existing documents. So I believe the part that you defunct, that you become defunct, and eventually you do not want to use it anymore, it could be under the revision, I believe, right? Because the
yeah,
opposite of retention will be you deleting something else or something that is no longer there, or defunct. Some part become defunct. Therefore, you don't want to use it anymore.
yeah. So yeah, that can happen as well, because after some time some things disappear, some are not there. Yes.
Yeah.
So retention is, you, if you have downloaded and you're keeping it, that is retention, right?
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
your own use. So that's
Yeah.
why David Wiley has very, I will put that also in the resource. I will add that resource as well. How David Wiley has defined these 5 R's. I hope that would have been covered in your OER capacity building workshop. So there are very specific meanings for each of these R's. Creation is, on the other hand, from scratch, somebody can create a totally new thing without, reusing or adapting any existing one. So that's why creation also has been added there. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
shall we leave this for the moment and move to the next one?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so if there, I mean, now we will keep this, but if somebody needs to make any suggestions or changes, you can go to the editing, suggesting mode. Now we are in the editing mode, in the Google Docs. There are different modes. We are in the editing mode now, so that we are adding things, directly type into the document. But after typing, after we work today, then if anybody wants to make any changes, then I would like to request you to go to the suggesting mode and do anything, because then people can see if any changes have been made, or you can give comments. You can, if you have any, okay, so for example, if somebody has a problem or issue with the word, say creation, you can highlight that and add a comment is there. Then the comment will come here in the side. Then anybody can see and respond to the comment also. That's how it becomes a collaborative working document. So I'm just explaining, I'm sure you must be knowing these things, but sometimes if you don't go to the suggesting mode and do some corrections, we can't see. It's difficult to identify. So whatever we are doing today, we will do in the editing mode. Afterwards, if you want to make suggestions, either use the suggestion add comment, or go to the suggesting mode and add your suggestions. Then it will be shown to the viewers who has suggested which change or something like that. Okay, is it clear? All right. Okay, I assume it's clear. Okay, we go to the next one, policy statements. Okay, now
Just one short question, Prof. Shronika. Usually for policy declaration, do we indicate things like the objective of this OER?
No, they are coming later. The objectives are coming under the policy.
No, even briefly, like to say the remixing all the 5 R's of OER is to provide like a high quality and academically rich multimedia e-learning content. Would that need to be inside here?
Well, it's up to you. I think it will come, the details will come here in the policy objectives, right? Because we are going to, declaration is the starting point. So if you try to give all details there, I don't know. I mean, you can discuss and if you feel that's necessary, you can do. But remember, we are starting with the definitions, right? So in the definitions, we are going to put all these keywords definition. So most of the things will come there. You can put the 5 R's there. You can put the open licensing there, the OER, OEP, you know, all keywords you think important can come there. So we start with the definitions and then move to the declaration. If you think you need to elaborate, I mean, feel free. I mean, it's your thing. It's your document. So if you think this needs more elaboration, you can add and see. I mean, anybody can add and we can see how it goes. Finally, this is a draft document, so the final decision will be made sometime later, no? So, yeah, feel free to add anything you think, but these objectives and those details are coming later. Okay, so the next one is policy statements. Here, Kim has added certain ideas. So I will give you some time to go through what Kim has added and also look at the calls template. Now, I hope you have the calls template also opened. Okay, I'll give you some time. Okay, now for this one, you can go to the suggesting mode. If now Kim has already typed this, so if anybody wants to make any, I'm going to the suggesting mode. So whatever your anybody else would like to add any things there, it can be the suggesting mode. Meanwhile, I will try to copy the calls.
There's one grammar that I would like to change.
Sorry, is it the same thing?
One grammar, just on the purpose statement. The purpose should be purposes because I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be plural rather than singular, right?
Okay, so you have added a purpose statement and then
it should be purposes other than purpose, right?
Okay.
What or you just talking about the labeling of the statement of the section. Therefore, you use singular, but I have four purposes. Therefore, it should be plural rather than singular.
Okay.
Grammar.
Okay. So, can I say something now? These statements, the statements have to be now. These sections are very specific. As I said, since this is the legal document, each statement should have a number, and each statement should be specifically focusing on you know, one specific aspect rather than writing, you know, it's okay for the beginning to put all your ideas. So at the end of this, what Kim has typed, I am going to copy paste the calls statements also so that you can think. Okay, now I'm giving you some time. I think we will spend some time here. I will give you like 10 minutes time to go through. Okay, I'll color this one, the calls suggestion. So this will be 3 point, the statement, so that you can edit it there. The statement should be Now this is 3.2. So the statement should be numbered as 3.2.1 likewise. 3.2.1. All right, I'll enlarge it a little bit also because it's too small, I think. Right. Okay. So this is this in blue color. It's what the call templates is call template gives, and the other part is what Kim has suggested. So I will give you some time to work on this now. I'm putting that in the suggesting mode. So I would expect anybody to do any editing and make any comments considering everything. So I will just give you some time now. Okay, you can do any changes yeah, this is open educational. So you can do the change there itself. Yeah, it should be educational. This should be educational, yes. So please do the correction there. Everywhere OER is open educational resources.
All the open education is open educational.
Educational.
Okay.
Open, sorry, open, yeah.
Some
OER.
here is, some
Yeah,
is
yeah.
O education, some is O educational.
Because we have added that in the definition also, no?
In the policy is open educational.
Open educational resources. See?
So it should be O educational.
Yeah, educational.
I'll do that.
So please correct it. Please correct it. Oops. Okay. Can I say something? This purpose statement, actually, in the template, there's nothing called purpose statement. It has, the next section is the policy objectives. Now, this is policy, 3.2 is policy statements, 3.3 is policy objectives. So when you say purpose, just make sure whether this is something different from the objectives, because I feel what you are doing here is similar to policy objectives, which is 3.3. So just consider, it's okay, you go on, but if we think this fits better in the policy objectives, we can copy it there. Policy statements are, rather, I will just copy the Cole's suggested statements. Right, so just
actually, Prof, when I prepared these for the objectives, the policy objective, I was actually quite perplexed between what is the purpose and the objective. But what I've added in the objectives is for, like, for example, I added on the human asset, the academic staff, and learning opportunities, things like that. So which is
okay. So we will work on, and we will see. I mean, just keep working on, and we'll see where it fits better. I just added this policy. What is expected from policy statements, which is policy statements are broad, right? Policy statements are broad when you read it, but objectives are more specific.
Yeah. Yes.
So here in this section, we are looking more on a broader statements, policy statements. So these are some examples given. Maybe you can look at that and have you add your own things as well.
So, Dr. Shironika, just a question, like Help University is a formal university. They will be getting into the ODL mode. So the first point which says sharing of OER in course design. So we put it beforehand, or we can have that? Because at the moment, I don't know how much course design, or unless in the LMS, they are doing their course designing. So will that be applicable?
Yeah, I mean, course design development can happen. It can happen in any way, you know, in print mode, in online, whatever the mode. I think all universities are engaged in course design and development, isn't it? I mean, are they currently doing course design? I believe they're doing, right?
So yeah, so colleagues can tell us whether they are doing it or not. Andy, I mean, you can say whether the course design is being done or not. So these are the, I mean, I was just thinking that these are some of the points. The decision has to be taken by the colleagues from Help University. From HU, they have to take the decisions.
Presently, Prof. Madhu and Prof. Shronika, when we look at our course development process, I think only the ODL programs are following the structured manner where a course is developed right to the point where it is published, and published here means uploaded into the LMS. That one has a structured process. Here we are also streamlining the process of learning materials for the blended learning approach. Because conventionally what most institutions are doing, and also some academics here, they are extracting certain sections from textbooks and also transforming their hard copy of their notes or even their slides, which probably could be X number of years and turning into PowerPoint slides. And those are actually written in a single conversational writing style.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So, but still you are going to the blended mode and you are having, I mean, not fully, but I mean, to some extent. So this is the statement. Say, if you read the statement, it says the management will promote, foster. So that's whether that's going to happen, whether the management, I mean, that's why you are going to have a policy, no? Because whether you are going to promote the concept of OER in course design, right? So if you think course design is not relevant, you can have course development there. So that's up to you. But quality assurance, obviously quality assurance happens, right? And delivery happens. So the main point here, the focus here is about the OER, because the management is going to promote and foster, and reward is there. If you are not going to plan any rewards, you can remove the word reward. Or appreciate, you can use some other word, right? If you say reward, you will have to give rewards, right? So that's why each word is very important. So promotion, I think promote that's why you are going to have a policy, because you are going to promote OERs and foster, obviously. So that's why you have to think whether the management is going to promote, foster, reward all efforts, because whatever you are doing are efforts, no? The going to different modes, going to the blended mode, I mean, whatever the course development things you are doing in different ways, they are all efforts. But all efforts, now through the OER policy, what you are going to do is all these course design development quality assurance efforts to be linked with the integration of OER. That's the focus here. No? So that's what you have to think with this policy statement. You can change it according to the way you feel fit. But I believe this promotion is happening. So management is going to promote that. Otherwise, why are you going to have an OER policy, right? And foster. So think which words you feel unnecessary, you can remove. Or if you want to add any other words, you can add or change. As Madhu said, I mean, you are the best people to decide on these things, because we are not very aware of the processes. But
right, so that is what, I mean, the colleagues in HU has to decide what they will put it down at the moment. So
maybe you can add other statements. Now in our OER policy, we added some others as well, as I remember. But this, for example, 3.2.2, that is important, because whatever the materials you will develop as OER, even if you are not developing now, you will be developing in the future. That's why you need a policy, right? So if you publish any materials as OER, HELP University will be the copyrights owner. I believe that's there's a copyrights policy in your university, whatever the materials you did. So you have to decide on that also, assuming that you are publishing materials where the university is going to be the copyrights owner. This statement is important, because that's where the university's role comes in, as the publisher and copyrights owner, who is going to decide on the content to be published, because all materials won't be published as OER, no? I mean, in our university also, all materials are not published as OER. The university decides which materials can be published as OER, and of course, in consultation with the relevant faculty or department or division, I mean, school or whatever the terminology you are using. So I will give like 2-3 minutes for this, and we'll move on to the next one, because this is very important to understand the statements. These are broad statements. Now what Kim has added there also, you can read and see whether you can get some things relevant to the broad statements. Because it gives some good ideas here. For example, the last paragraph, there are some good statements there. Do you think we can move on to the next one now, or you want to work a little bit more on this?
Prof. Shorinka, we can move on.
Okay, we'll go to the next one then, because then we can see whether these purpose statements are fitting with the next one, which is the policy objectives, right? Policy objectives. So I will copy paste the calls one as well. Okay, I have added, what I have added is what is there in the call document, so that it will be easy for you to consider which ones are relevant. And after that, there's Kim's suggestions, and you can look at the purpose of statements as well. So this will be like 3, you can edit on these things and change according to the way you want. 3.3. The statements have to be numbered, and you can add anything you want. So please read this and read what you have already done. Let me change the numbers. So this is very important section. So call has given 8 statements. Now you will have to spend some time, go through each statement and also go through what the suggestions are there and see what you really want to have as the policy objectives.
So Shironika, can it be these objectives be taken as it is from what Call has given listed?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's the idea. No, you can take as it is. But usually universities will adapt, because different universities have their, own. Now, we took certain statements as it is. Some statements we adapted, sometimes the terminology is different, sometimes the processes are different. So you can change the way it fits with your university. But this is a guideline, no? So it's easy when you, but I think you should not forget what the others have suggesting also, because they might also have good ideas.
Okay.
Shall I copy paste the purpose statements also here? So then, okay, I will just copy paste the purpose statements also. Okay, so I added in blue, it's the call statements. Below that, I have added Kim's purpose statement, which Andy has done some editing. The numbering will change. We can do the numbering later on. Then there's another paragraph which Kim has added about the policy. So read everything, and you can edit these statements in blue. Then we can. It will be easy to identify.
Yeah, like they can think of, it's written 3.3.3, build capacity among academic and academic support staff. So, yeah, it can be faculty. I mean, if just thinking aloud, that if the university wants to change the language here,
Sure. Yeah.
like instead of academic can have faculty or like that. So it's just that we are thinking loudly, and I request all colleagues to just suggest these changes. Think of it and then just suggest it. It can be developed in another maybe or half an hour or so, whatever time we have, or I mean almost 45 minutes, what we have. Those changes can be made here.
Yeah, and I mean, it can be changed later on even. As I said,
Even
this is a
later
working
on,
document. I mean,
Yes.
what we change now, if we sometime, maybe tomorrow, if we think of a better one, we can keep on doing it until we are happy with the final document. This is a draft working document. So this is just a starting point.
So any one of you have anything to add here on this part?
Now, if you feel some are not necessary, you can remove them also. Or you can add if you think something is missing there. And as Madhu said, you can change the terminology because what you're more familiar with. You need not to be, I mean, you should not think you have to stick to this exact wording, because now here in this purpose, you have mentioned in different ways. So if you are more comfortable with that sort of statements, you can add them. And if there are any repetitions, we can later on remove some of them and maybe combine some. So please spend some time. And if you want to think aloud, that would be good so that we can give some feedback.
This is interesting point to procure, develop and install the required hardware and software infrastructure for OER creation and integration.
Yeah, I was also wondering about that, whether it's an objective of the policy. Okay, we'll leave it there. Maybe it might be coming under responsibilities or somewhere else.
And he should be able to explain or should be finalizing this point. Tell us.
Yeah, because it's very specific to procure, develop, and install. Whether it's a policy objective, I was also wondering, Madhu, when I saw that. But anyway, we'll keep for the moment. I will let them read and see where it fits better. This is important,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But maybe I feel it might be coming under responsibilities, maybe institutional responsibility part. Because here what we are focusing on is the objectives of the policy, OER policy. Objectives of the OER policy. So like when you say to formulate the necessary strategic inputs, outputs, tasks, that might cover these things, because it's in a broader way, they are in the first statement. But it's okay, we'll leave it and see how it goes.
Prof, I think the procurement is more on the operational level rather than the policy level.
Yeah, that's what I was also feeling. It will come at the institutional responsibility, the operational level.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's not a policy. It is embedded under the policy.
Yeah.
So there is a question.
Maybe someone can put a comment there. I mean, so that's right. So now Andy has added that. Now, if Kim feels something, you can highlight this and add a comment, right? Like this, add a comment. Please add a comment. So if you have any comments on anything, please add a comment. Put it as a comment, Andy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, put it as a comment there. Otherwise, it will get mixed up. No, you can add a comment from here. There's a plus point. You can highlight. You can highlight. You can highlight the statement. Then there's a plus mark, and a comment will come. There's a plus mark. Then you can.
Yep.
Okay. I can't see the comment. Did you add any comment? Add any comment?
I've added actually.
I can't see it.
Okay.
If you have added a comment, it should be shown in the right hand side. So shall I just add a comment? I add a comment there, then you can see.
But it's shown in my screen, Prof.
Really?
Madhu. Prof. Shonika.
Okay. But then it should be shown here. I refreshed it also. Anyway, so I will also add just in case. Should what did you add? Should consider
Should
whether
be under the responsibility section.
Should consider whether to be under responsibilities. Can you see what I have typed?
Shironika, yes, we can see that what you have typed it out.
That's the thing.
But you can't see mine, huh?
Yeah, no, not yours.
Now we can see.
Hey?
Yeah, now we can see. Okay, yeah, now we can see. Right. Okay, so anything else in this section?
So there is a question in the chat, Shironika. Is there any scope for using about open source software?
Oh, well, okay. Now, open source software is something different. Because the open source software is there, but they don't come under the, if they come with an open license, if any I don't know, I'm not sure whether these software are licensed with open license. They are called open source. That's a different concept. Maybe Manas can help me something with there. But as far as I know, if we consider as OER, if they are like licensed, openly licensed, open source software are coming as a different category. But if any software is licensed, we could consider them as OER. I mean, that's how I understand. Maybe Manas can clarify. Yeah, Manas?
I can just, you are very much right, Shironika, you said. And I just wanted to add few lines here that open source software is a product. And these products become as a tool we are using. And this tool helps us to produce educational resources. And as we are talking about the open educational resources, the product from the open source software, that could be educational resources and OER. But tool itself, not OER, because we are talking about the educational resources. If you look into the definitions, so educational resources is talking about learning from that content. That is particularly telling that research report or learning materials and any other text materials or digital materials, means video content, audio content, which is reflecting for the learning scope, means educational purposes, that is called open education resources.
Teaching, learning, and research.
Yeah.
Teaching, learning, and research as well.
Absolutely. So these are the open source softwares are tools which are helping us to produce open educational resources, to create open educational resources. For example, GeoGebra, right? GeoGebra, it's open source software where we can create contents on mathematics and geometry. So the content which we will produce using that tool, that the content can become open education resources, but not that tool has. So that's why, but tool has the specific specifications. What is called that open source, because it allows you, if you can configure that tool according to your requirement. So that's why that is the tool which is called as open source.
Thank you, Manas. I think that was very clear explanation. Thank you. So whoever put the question, I think that's clear. Shall we move on to the next section, or the objectives? Are we still working on the objectives? Okay, we'll go to the next section, because once everything is done in a draft, we can go through the whole thing again. The next section is about the scope and applicability. So I will just copy paste the calls call statements here, 3.4. And enlarge it a little bit and make it blue color. And I'll change the numbering as well. It's 3.4. So the statement should be 3.4.1 likewise. Okay. Okay, so there are only 4 statements there, but you can think about others. Now this is scope and applicability. That's about, okay. What is the scope of, I think I mentioned yesterday also, who are the categories of people who this will be applicable to? So here they suggest all. So this will be very specific to institutions. We have changed this according to our institution. So here it says all academic and academic support staff, support departments. Also you can use your own nomenclature there. All content developers who are engaged by the institution on temporary or contract basis. If you have such people, we do have, so we have included them. Then all types of learning materials. Here where that comes handy, where you mentioned whether audio, video, you know. Here if you want to, you can specify. I believe we specified those. When you say all types of learning materials, you can elaborate what do you mean by all types of learning materials. And the other one is about collaboration partnerships. And if you want to add any other things, you can think about others as well. So here, I think what Kim or someone has added here. So students are also here, because if you involve students also in the learners also in the creation process, it will be applicable to them as well. Okay, we'll spend some time on the scope and applicability.
So like, can we say 3.4.2, all content developers within the HU? So if you are saying institution, so instead we can write down HU, all content developers within the university or HU help university, and those engaged by HU on temporary contract basis.
If you have on other basis also you can add, like we have on assignment basis. There are different ways you are employing people also.
Okay, okay.
Prof, I just would like to emphasize that all these scopes and what we have written here, unfortunately to me, is they are a little bit so-called mundane to me, but they are necessary. They are necessary evil. Okay, they got to be there. But I think I want to think more beyond the institutional perspective. The last point that I added, which is the fourth bullet point that I put, it's the use, creation, publication to promote the world health, economic, and cultural well-being. Just look at the pandemic now, the COVID-19, right? We virtually just, the whole world is brought to standstill. We did not know what to do, you know? So I think as much as we think from the institutional perspective, I think we get to also preempt or rather anticipate sometimes the global impact, because like the pandemic, with the pandemic COVID-19, it's really caught everybody by surprise. And then look at the lingering effect. It's so pervasive, the impact. Until now, we are still under this very, so the impact is still so pervasive, and we're still facing it. So I want to add something on more than that. It's really about the global well-being, which is the social responsibility of an institution anyway.
Yeah, I think I agree with your idea. We can go beyond this as well, and what you mentioned is also very important. The other thing is, we also have to remember what we are developing is an institutional OER policy. We have policies at different levels. At country level, the national OER policies are there. Now here as institutional level. So whether these sort of things should come at the national level for a national OER policy, or at institutional level, whether if you feel you should, then of course you can add that word. But that's something you have to decide at institutional level, whether your policy is going to cover that scope.
Or maybe not world health, but at least cultural well-being, because we have international students studying in our university as well. And then the economic well-being, is also affecting us because the international student cannot enter Malaysia. So it really impact on all the university in Malaysia. So that is an economic impact, right? But the health also, now for example, Indonesia and other countries, now South Korea, you know, that the infection rate is so high, they cannot, and they're blacklisted by my Malaysian government. So that is also the, in a way, it's beyond the national boundary, well, a health issue, you know, because of this pandemic. You know, I'm not talking about taking the role of the Malaysian government, but because we do have diversities in terms of the nationalities of the students studying in Help University.
Yeah, I think that's a point in what you say, because when you have international students also, I mean, this is all related to the teaching learning process. You are trying to develop this OER policy to make use of the concept of OER to help all learners, teachers and learners. So if you have an international community, you can think about that as well. Maybe you might think how to put that in a statement, whether in the same way. So you can, I think the others also can add their suggestions to that idea. That's already there in the 4th bullet.
Yeah. It's a matter of how to incorporate into the
Oh,
okay,
so
thanks.
if you can add another number and add in a more appropriate way if you feel that's important in an institutional policy.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm moving on to the next one. You can keep on working if you have some more work. I'm just going to copy paste the copyrights and licensing part from the call template. Now here you will have to make some decisions which might not be possible just now, because as I mentioned yesterday, you have to decide whether you are going to, you have to consider whether you are going to have one common licensing. Now this is about copyrights and licensing. So who owns the copyrights? That's the fundamental thing. So if the university owns copyrights of all material created by the university, you can put the name of your institution. That's the first statement. Others are about the licenses. Whether you would like to have a common license, you think it's more desirable to have a common license for the whole university, or whether there should be flexibility and deviations among faculty to. Now you said there are 6 faculties, from faculty to faculty, whether that should be changed, or so that's something you have to consider. So that's right, 3.5.5, you have to either say. So we'll go one by one. The first one, whether the copyrights are held by the university.
Technically, it should be, right, Prof. Shronika?
Sorry?
Technically, it should be, right, the IP of the institution.
So shall we then keep that statement where you can only add your institution's name there?
Mm-hmm.
You have to put the name here unless notified by Health University. This OER policy is, sorry, I'm not at the wrong place. Sorry, that you have already done. The copyrights. Health University is the absolute owner of the copyright of any content created by it. Unless otherwise specified, the institution supports free and open access to all educational content it owns or co-owns and will make them. I don't know. So whether that's something, that statement is very strong to all educational content. So you might have to think whether you want to revise that. Or this next one is, it says something else. It may make exceptions to the sharing of intellectual property it owns on a case-by-case basis. So just read all the statements and see which are useful to you, I mean, which are applicable to your university, and whether you need change. When you come to 3.5.5, there you will have to decide whether it should be more desirable to have one or whether to be flexible.
Shironika, just want to understand, Andy's typing something. In 3.5.2, it says, all at second line, all educational content it owns or co-owns. So co-owns means, for example, Help University or write something with, let's say, Open University Sri Lanka or CEMCA. So co-own means the first institution or the first author, or it is a joint thing? Like
co-owns, joint, right? Co-owns, because sometimes we collaboratively develop. I know Call has developed a lot of collaborative material, and then this co-ownership is there, jointly developed. I have seen jointly developed by, say, UNESCO Call, or Call CEMCA, or Call Open University. So then both parties will have to agree. Both parties will have to agree on, because the ownership is shared in such instances. So that's why that statement is, you have to consider very carefully how you want to word it. I will just
so it means both the organizations have to release the material under the same license.
Yes, obviously. Because if it's a co-owned material, the one material can't have more
different
than one
licenses. Okay.
Yes. And once you are licensed also, you can't revoke. You can't revoke back. You can change it. It's there. That's another condition in the Creative Commons licenses. So these decisions have to be made very carefully. I'm just wondering. I think we didn't have this statement in our policy. Let me see.
Actually, Prof, the co-owners, can we put it in 3.51 under that the property it owns on a case-by-case basis on the co-owned part? So the case-by-case is really is an open statement. right? It will not bind the university or the both institutions, because it's case by case, and it is the prerogative of the institution to make that decision on a case by case basis. So I believe that for the co-owns, we can say this, assume that it is embedded under 3.51, the last sentence.
So you have added that to the first one. Help
Nope.
university steps.
Yeah, on the case 3.51, saying that the last sentence says intellectual property it owns on a case by case basis. It made an exception to the sharing. Therefore, if we delete the co-owns from the 3.52 and assume that the co-owns will be actually is captured under 3.51, the exception on the case by case basis.
I think there's a logic in what you're saying, because when you say it's the absolute owner of the copyright of any content created by it, but if there are co-owners of the content created, then Help University can't say it's the absolute owner. If there's co-owner, that's your point, right?
I think the trouble word is the absolute owner, which is in the first sentence. Maybe we can actually modify the word absolute rather than, instead of absolute, we can think about another word for that. What do you think?
And second, I point, if I want to add something, like Shronika, you said if there are 4 institutions, and suppose one of the institution does not have an OER policy, so they have to agree, and which says, suppose free and access. So they have to agree to these points, the licenses and the copyright issue.
Yeah. Now, if I think about an example now, when we write research articles for Calls Journal, right? So we of course have a OER policy, but there may be others who are submitting articles because all articles will be released under Creative Commons license. For example, Calls Journal articles. So you have, when you are signing the agreement, you have to sign an agreement saying that you consent your materials to be published under this, because the ownership is there. When you published under Creative Commons license, the author also can take it and use it now. I mean, it's available for reuse, right? But you have to give the consent that to be released as an OER. So if there are materials developed by 2 institutions together, co-ownership, that's where the co-ownership will come. If one institution doesn't have an OER policy, whereas this institution will have the OER policy, then there's in any collaboration, there will be an agreement, no? So in the agreement, that statement has to be there.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so there will be 2 things. So if I am writing a research article as an individual capacity and not as CEMCA, let's say, so there are 2 organizations, CEMCA and let's say Help University. But I as an individual, I am writing, authoring. So I have to sign an agreement that I want to release that article as an OER under the Help University's OER policy.
No, okay, that's different now. Where maybe the example I took might be wrong, because the journal, the research article will be published in a journal, no? So the journal will have its own policy. Now, for example, Calls JL4D journal, it releases with CC-BY SA, I believe, or CC-BY, Creative Commons license is there. So if I write an article joint, I mean, if I write an article, that's my authorship, right? If I write jointly with the Help University Help University academic, we have a joint authorship, but that's not an institution, that's a personal thing. That's a personal thing, no? So as personal author, our research work. So maybe that's a little bit different. But say we created some learning material together. Say we created a module or an online course together, right? So that online course, we are going, if we are, that's a learning material which we are going to release as an OER, but if the other university doesn't have an OER policy, then again, I believe there must be some agreement, because some agreement and what do you say, mutual decision made from the beginning. This material, I mean, first of all, you have to decide whether which materials are going to be released as OER. If they are not going to be released as OER, this policy won't be applicable. No, so the policy will be applicable if you are going to release some material as an OER. That's where the policy will be. You have to look at the policy, what the policy is. If you don't have a policy, then if you are working with another co-ownership, I mean co-authoring or co-producing a material with the intention of releasing as an OER, then I believe those agreements have to be clearly made that both parties or all three parties or all contributors agree to be this to be released at the OER. The same thing happens when we are contracting people. I mean, earlier we had the scope and applicability. You know, when we contract, we give contracts for lesson writers, for example. Now we had that issue because we are giving we outsource a lot of module writing. We get outside people who are writing. Okay, we pay them. So finally the copyright is with us. Still, we have to get their consent. If we are going to release them as OER, we have to get some consent from them in the agreement state that they are willing to give this, that they are consenting for this material to be released as OER. There's another thing. We have to make sure the plagiarist content, that's also another, not plagiarized, I mean, well, maybe plagiarized or maybe this fully copyrighted content, we can't take that and release as OER. That's another thing we have to be careful when we are contracting people. We face such problems because sometimes people will just copy things from internet, say diagrams and pictures, which are fully copied, knowingly or unknowingly, people may be using. So before releasing as OER, our university, there's a separate unit who are checking everything, whether there are any copyrighted things incorporated there. Otherwise, the university will face the issue, because say if you release, you can't release somebody which somebody else has not released as an OER. We can't just take it and put it in our material and release it as OER, if you understand what I'm saying. Then we might be, that's why we put this, that's very, very tricky point. That's why we put this unless otherwise specified, that sort of thing. Still, we are being very careful, especially in relation to diagrams, pictures, because people tend to take these things easily from the internet. And some might be in the public domain or Creative Commons licensed, but some might be not be like that. They would be fully copyrighted, and where you have, without permission, you can't reproduce because they have these disclaimers and all. Then we identified, actually, before we release, I mean, there's a unit who is working on these things. They identified there were certain things which we can't release as copyrighted, OER. Then what they removed those things. So we have to get, because the lesson writers have knowingly or unknowingly incorporated those things. So we removed those things and recreated such, if that's an image, those were recreated by our people and such. So there are certain instances where you have to be very careful as well.
And the best example is your slides presentation. You had on the very first slide, you had written CCBY. So that's the best example of organizations and an author or a presenter, if I say so.
Yeah, I tend to do that. I mean, earlier I also didn't do that because, you know, when we are not very clear about this OER, I mean, when we are creating presentations, we use a lot of graphics, right? Now I am very careful to select pictures and graphics which are openly licensed and give the proper attribution also. If you go through my slides, you will see wherever I have given, but sometimes if it's CC or the public domain, you don't need, sometimes it says you don't even need to acknowledge CC0, right? Then such things you don't have to acknowledge, but if you CC BY, CC BYSA, you can incorporate with the acknowledgement and with the link to the original one. So that's the awareness raising part. That's what the academics are not very clear about these things. That's why we need this continuous capacity building, and awareness raising has to happen throughout by people who are believing in this. If we want to promote, I mean, the whole idea is to promote and foster this concept, we have to keep on doing that. Otherwise, because of lack of awareness also, some things can happen like that. Okay, are we having any changes here? So the thing is, I am just wondering where now these statements, we have to have each statement in like each number has to have one statement usually in a policy document. So this number 1, now we have 2 statements. I'm just wondering whether it should be a different, or whether you can combine and make it one statement. (3.5.1). Just consider whether 3.5.1, whether you can combine into one. Yeah. Or may make exception. Yeah, for the moment we'll keep like that. So that's why we have this unless otherwise specified. Yeah. Now numbering we might have to change. Yeah, we'll do the numbering later. Yeah. Owns or co-own, and we'll make them available through the OER repository under a Creative Commons license. Yes, under. So that's the next thing you have to decide. What do you think, whether you should have one common license or flexibility?
One size fits all may not be desirable, I think, right?
Well, yeah, that's up to you to decide. We thought that would be desirable to avoid complications. So if you think this 3.5.5 for the moment, that is better, the choice of license will be decided by the faculty, department, division who has developed the material, and will be vetted by the internal OER quality review board. If you don't have such a board, you will have to create one or put some other board. Or put some other internal quality assurance committee, or we have internal quality assurance committee. So it will differ, but do you think that would be better?
Yeah, maybe we shall try. We will try to propose this to see what's the general sentiment of the Senate members.
Okay, so then I will delete this for the moment. The next one. Okay, so it is the responsibility of the authors of the content to comply with 3. Yeah, that's the other thing. Now, the thing is, then you can't have well, if you leave this to be decided by the faculty department division, now there are 6 types of Creative Commons licenses. So are you going to allow any out of these 6, or are you going to specify
only certain? Only 2 or 3 out of the 6, or even 4,
yeah,
or even
because I think maybe just now you might not be able to decide, because those things have to be decided at a higher level, maybe at the
correct,
Senate, Senate, or when you submit the proposal, there has to be a discussion. Only thing is, when you give too many options, also it will create issues. And your quality assurance board will have to review everything.
Yeah, keep on reviewing. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Another point which I have observed is, like MIT, when it was established, they released all their material as CCBY. And now they are saying they have added NC. So maybe they have changed their policy over a period of time. So, I mean, people, they are also changing the institutions, they are also changing their license policy also. So earlier, MIT used to release all the material as CCBY.
Yeah.
But now they have added NC there.
Yeah, but once you have released one material with some license, you may change your policy after some time. But what you have already released, you can't revoke.
Oh, okay.
That condition is there. If you read the Creative Commons, that condition is there. I mean, when you read the legal binding, and the Creative Commons give very clear. I will put that also in the resources, that link also. I think it's very important we read all those clauses and be very clear about these licenses, because it's not just put in CCBY or CCBY SA, but the meaning of it and what we can do and what we can't do. Every individual has to be very clear.
So
otherwise,
sorry,
yes,
Prof. Sharinga, are we saying that let's say out of the 5 or 6 licenses under CC, if we were to change from a less restrictive to a more restrictive, you can't, but from a more restrictive to less restrictive, can we do that?
What I'm saying is, if you have already released one material with an OER license, now as I mentioned yesterday, our first OER book was released with CCBY NDSA, right? Yeah, I have it here. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, let's say I release it as CC by NC.
CCBY NCSA, right? So it might be coming from the other side. Anyway, so now we can't change this because we have already really published this now. But the next, from when we made our policy that all our things will be released with CCBY SA, the publications after this one, we are releasing as CCBY SA. But this original one is having CCBY NCSA. Yeah, we can't change it now because we have already published it and released. So what I'm saying is, once released, there's a condition. I will find it from the Creative Commons thing, and I will paste it here. It says cannot be revoked.
Even though we are giving more freedom to the user by changing the license to a...
That can happen for the material. Now I am talking about specific materials. That can happen to the specific materials you release after you make that new decision. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, like suppose one course was made in, let's say, 2015, and after in 2018, I changed the policy. So that course will remain as the earlier license. But in 2020, which I will make a new course, that can be released under the new license.
Yeah. So that old course you can phase out or remove if you have updated the course. If the old course is no longer functioning, then you can have the new course under the new license and just remove the old course if it's a same course. But in case of a book like publication, we can't do that. It's there, so it's with that license. So that's it. But I think it's good each individual to be very clear about these things, because this Creative Commons license is also, because people think you can just put any license, and also the remixing. I think that would have been covered in your workshop. You can't just mix anything with anything. There's a mixing chart. CCBY, if it's CCBY, you can mix in any way. But when you have more restrictions like ND and all, you can't do derivatives, you can't do revisions. So then you can't mix such things and release with under CCBY SA. So for example, if I say an example of our university, now we have the policy, whatever material we decide to release as OER, we have just one policy, one license, CC BY SA. So we tell our staff, okay, since we are releasing CC BY SA, you can only remix, revise, remix, other material people release, other materials released by people, only take either CCBY or CCBY SA or the public domain. Okay. Otherwise, if you try, other things cannot be mixed, because we are going to release it as CCBY SA. CCBY SA means share alike. So whatever we are taking should be giving us the opportunity to share alike, right? So if there's no SA in the other license, we can't use them. And if there's ND, we can't do any, we can't do any remixing or anything. So because of those restrictions, you have to clearly check that there's in the Creative Commons, they have released the remixing chart. I wonder whether you all have introduced that in the previous workshop, I'm sure. So that remixing chart is a very good, gives a good guideline to see when, once you decide on your license, okay, if we are to release by CCBY SA, what are the things we can use for revising, remixing, and creating our own things. So this one, so we will leave the flexibility, but then there are things, I mean, a lot of decisions have to be made. Some institutions I know, I can't remember, some institutions have taken the decision, I think virtual university or some, I really can't remember, but okay, the video materials will be released with ND. Now universities produce print material, audio, video on different types of materials. So one university has taken the decision where the video materials will be using the ND. That means no derivatives. You can't change them. You just have to use as it is. But other, maybe the text material, text-based material, they may be using CCBY or CCBY SA. Likewise, this flexibility will be decided. The university can decide either the university to decide that based on the type of the material, or if the faculty department or division, if you are giving them the responsibility to decide, it's crucial that they are very clear about this license and with proper understanding they are using this license and mixing and all. So I feel if you try to give flexibility to use any out of the 6, it will be a little bit complicated. That's my personal feeling. So because people need some sort of guidance, guidelines, very clear guidelines have to be there. Okay, so we will move on because I think now the time is also running. So then once you decide, you will have to show the declaration will be like that. So if you have a common one, you can put that here. But if you have different, that's after you decide how you are going to do. Depending on the decision, you can put, okay, for this faculty it will be this faculty it will be this, likewise. Or for this sort of materials it will be this license. But you always have to give a link to the relevant license so that you go to the site and read the license, all its legal bindings and the requirements, and then sure about what it implicates. Okay, so finally, okay, quality assurance and review system. I think Andy is in charge of quality assurance. So it's your baby.
Okay.
Okay, so I will just copy paste the call one. I think Kim also has put some ideas there. For the moment, I will just, but I think Kim has put a lot of ideas there. But the thing is, looking at the ideas, what you will have to do is to make them into statements, right? Please make them into statements so that it's clear to everybody. Okay, just one more. The numbering we will change. Don't worry about the numbering. Numbering we'll change later. So quality assurance, actually, you have to decide on the quality assurance process you already have in the university. You have a clear process, right? You already have a clear process there. So this has to be compatible with that what you, so you can change it accordingly. It should be easy for you because if you already have. Then the next one is the responsibilities. What are these? Okay, sorry. It's liabilities. Liabilities, of course, liability is the statement. The disclaimer, right? So that also I will just copy paste. You can, sorry. You can decide what sort of a disclaimer you are going to put in your materials. The last important one is about institutional arrangements. That's another thing. Okay, this we will maybe we will leave for the moment, because once you decide on the license only, you can decide on this as well. But I will just copy paste this one and leave it so that you can consider that. The last one is the institutional arrangements, which is important because there you are, that's where I think at the beginning there was something you mentioned about that, what's that? Software, hardware, procurement and all, yeah. So such things will come under the institutional arrangements. Now you can consider how you can put it here. I will just copy paste those statements as well. Okay, it says my internet connection is unstable. Okay, so so it says about the arrangements, whether you are going to have an institutional repository, who is having the responsibility of giving access, who is giving technical support. So there you can put all the who is responsible for capacity building, who is responsible for quality assurance. So all these things statement wise you can add. Okay, that's it. Now, okay, so my task is done for today. Though even though there are very few people available here.
Yep.
I hope you will get everybody contribute to this. Well, Manas originally suggested this WhatsApp group or email group, but I think we don't need, because this this is enough, right? This collaborative.
This is enough. Yeah, absolutely right.
Because if we have too many things, many things also, that might be a little bit problematic. Everybody can work in here. They can put all your comments, suggestions, everything here, so everybody can see that. It's very open and transparent to everybody.
Yeah.
So what's next? What are the deadlines?
Can we, Sironika, make a action plan for Andy is here and we all are here, so that we can make an action plan, so that some place we need to close it and keep this.
I have to submit my report by 30th. Okay, then I have to submit my report by 30th September. So that means before that, between today and 30th, how many days are there? 6 days. So it's action plan for 6 days. So, unless CEMCA gives me some time, I don't know.
Sironika, my suggestion is that can we keep it up to 28th? Okay, 28th.
Yes.
We expect from all our colleagues from Help University and who participated or who are unable to participate, and I am sharing both the days recording video with Help University, so that they can get help out of that. And the Google Doc format will remain open up to 28th. Then on 28th, when it will be, we expect everybody will put their opinions and their concerns in there. And those who wants to write, they can write on the body, no problem. Within the understanding of the Help University, Andy will facilitate from Help University in this regard. And those who wants to provide their suggestions, they can click on the suggestion board, so that in the suggestion box, they can give their suggestions and comments as well, so that it is very clear to you to understand easily. And you can take one more days. On 28th we can close it, and 29th you can take to provide the draft policy along with your report by 30th.
Okay. Okay, I mean, it's okay with me if the work is there. It's Andy has the challenge of making sure within 4 days this is completed, this task is completed. What do you think? Is it possible?
It may be a challenge on our side, because the decisions actually is by the senior management.
Yeah.
We can propose, but I'm not sure whether. Correct. Yes.
It's okay, isn't it, Manas? We are developing a draft proposal, right? We can't finalize. It's up to the senior management to decide on, because whatever we are suggesting as a group might not be acceptable at Senate. There will be a lot of discussions. But then after that, you can incorporate the suggestions. I don't know, because I think what CEMCA is facilitating is to have a full draft document. We'll call it final. I mean, we'll call it final, but because you have to submit a final to the Senate, right? But then afterwards, if they suggest anything, then you will have to do revisions according to accordingly. Yeah. So shall I then? Okay, I think as Mana suggested. So now the document is there. Everybody has access. So until 28, it will be an open document. But please ask everybody to do it in the suggesting mode, because then we can see who has edited which one, and put comments specifically in the comments side. After 28, I will close the editing part. Then after 28, nobody will. 28 is Monday. Oh, I was hoping for a weekend. because 29th and 30th I have some other workshops as well. Anyway, today is 24th, 28th. Okay.
Because
Okay,
tomorrow over here.
You will
tomorrow,
have to, because
tomorrow
weekend is
in
coming,
HQ.
weekend is coming 26th, 27th. You will have to make sure people do some contributions during the weekend also.
I doubt.
I do a lot of
I
work
doubt.
between.
Yeah, I doubt that even.
What I suggest is, if a report can be by 28, 29, and we can have push the draft policy document to 2-3 days more, because as Andy has said, tomorrow they are busy with the Council Senate meeting, and then the weekend, and I know Professor Shironika is also busy. So will that be, is Manas acceptable that we get the report and we push the draft policy document just 2-3 days after that?
But then without the draft policy, now I'm looking at the agreement, submit the final draft of institutional policy by 30th September.
Yeah,
along with the report.
I know, Shironika, that was the expectation, but if things are not done, we can just little bit, we can have flexibility.
Okay. Then I will have to submit the report without the draft policy, saying that it's still being developed.
Right. So little bit flexibility we can have, because when we planned, so it was like we never knew that it will be a council meeting for Help University, and we will have everyone will be busy before that also. So that was not in our mind. So that flexibility can be little bit there.
Okay, Manas? You're muted. You're muted. Manas, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. Actually, I lost my internet connection and I rejoined. So probably. Okay, it's good. It sounds good, and Prof. Madhu said very rightly. We can do one thing. You can submit your report within the mandate of the agreement, and you can just put in the report in somewhere else, annexure as draft report, so that when draft report will be ready, I will enclose the draft report to your report as annex.
Yeah, but for the draft report also we must have a deadline. Otherwise, you can't just drag in forever.
As Prof. Madhu suggested, we can push up for the another 2-3 days.
2-3 days, yeah, maximum like 3rd. Now it's 30th is the date I am submitting, right? So 1, 2, 3rd, by 2nd or 3rd, it should be ready.
Right, that should be okay. That should be okay.
2nd is okay, 3rd is okay, or 4th is also okay, because 3rd and 4th is the weekend. So by 4th it is okay, no problem.
Yeah, but because they say during the weekend they won't be working, so I think we will have to let them say, because I am working during the weekend mostly, and in the night and early morning you might see like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. That's how I'm working. Anyway, so that's how I will have to do by 30th also. But if you can give them the deadline like 2nd or 3rd, that would be better. By 3rd, let's say by 3rd.
By 3rd,
right?
it is okay.
I'll
Andy,
prepare an action plan. Sorry?
Andy?
Yeah.
It is okay for you?
Yeah, good.
You have to make it okay. You have to, because
Andy has to say okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I said okay for this with lot of work in my hand. Right? So I'm also so busy with every day they are work. So I mean, we are all busy academics, but I mean, if we finish this off, then it's done. If we keep on pushing, it will be even like it won't get done. If we have the deadline, we will work towards the deadline.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Right.
so I will prepare an action plan. Maybe today itself I will send it. And his responsibility is to make sure, communicate with all. How many are there actually altogether? How many? I need, because for my report, Andy, please send me the list of participants with their details. Can you please send me in a table?
All right, sure.
All the participants with their positions and, you know, the faculties and the list I will need. Okay.
Okay, I will.
Can do that. Then I know how many are contributing, and because a lot of these anonymous things are there, I can't even identify. Can you please ask people to use their names in the when they are submitting comments? Otherwise, I can't identify. Also, I don't know whether that's needed, but it's good to have names rather than these animals, all these anonymous animals.
All right, sure.
Okay. All right. Please send me that list today. Then we will stop this now. We can conclude today's session. All right.
Okay, yeah, we can conclude it. So, first of all, I must thank Professor Shironika for her very patient and elaborate presentation. She is always like that since I know her. So, and I told in the beginning, she's a hard task master. So she has proved that. So thank you so much, Professor Shironika. I must thank Andy, Dr. Andy. He was continuously, he was present. So I'm sure due to other job assignments at the university, which each one of us we have to do, but he was there throughout. And I must thank Datuk Professor Paul Chan, for initiating this, because for a university to initiate new initiatives is a very, very important forward-looking point. So I must thank him. I thank all the colleagues of Help University who have attended and who will be seeing the YouTube presentation. So, and lastly, of course, I thank Dr. Manas. But lastly, Andy, we will expect the report, a draft report by the time what we have fixed.
All right, sure.
So please share the links of the video recordings with me as well, so that I can keep that as reference.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, Shironika, thanks once again to you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you very much, Shironika.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, bye, Andy. Bye, everyone.
Bye.